Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've posted a art video, and I somehow managed to record my entire process of me painting Buggy from the live action One Piece. I never watched the anime. My husband is really into it, but I just never watched it. I couldn't get over the animation and the style of the characters and the art style and stuff like that. It's just not my thing. But I watched the live action with him and really enjoyed it, and my favorite character was Buggy, like so many other people. So I wanted to do an acrylic painting of Buggy, and this is actually my first acrylic painting that I've ever done of like a portrait. I've done animals and other things like that, but I've never actually done a painting of a person. So I was nervous because I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know how it would turn out. And I did this sketch, which then motivated me because I was like, oh, okay, I think the sketch turned out okay enough. I think that I'll be able to do the painting, but I'll just have to take some time figuring out how to use my paints. So, of course, the first thing that I had to start with was his big red nose. It's the thing that jumped out to me the most. Now, is it the most logical place to start? No, not at all, because then the red kept seeping into his face. But I wanted the painting to look kind of messy because he looks messy. Like, the makeup looked messy, everything looked messy. I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, I'm saying that in a good way. It looked messy, but like it's supposed to, if you know what I mean. So I kind of wanted my painting to reflect that. So I started with the nose. I accidentally smeared some of the paint, but it worked out in my favor. So now don't worry. At many points is this painting at the ugly stage. Just let it go. It's okay. It'll eventually get there. I do not know how to use acrylic paints compared to other mediums. Like, I much more know how to use my Copic markers and my colored pencils and stuff, but using acrylic paints is a completely different thing for me. So there's a big learning curve there for me. But I powered through it. So I was looking at a black and white photo and then at a color photo so that I could kind of get where the shadows were and also understand what the colors looked like, so I could get the values and the hues. So shortly into it, I realized that I did one of the eyes kind of wonky a little bit. Like, I painted it and I was like, wait a minute, the other eye looks wrong now, like something's not quite right. But what I like about acrylic paint is I can let it dry and then I can just layer it on. Like, it's okay. We'll just cover up our mistakes, you know? That's the best way to go about it here. So at this stage, it's looking kind of messy, and I wasn't sure how it was gonna, if you do painting, you know what I mean? Like, you hit one of those ugly painting stages and you're like, oh gosh, like, is this gonna go how I want it to go? Like, is this gonna look right? And that was the stage for me, but I kept powering through it because I was like, no. I know this is my first portrait. Portraits are really hard for me. It's not something I do very often, so it's something that I need a lot of practice with. But what other way am I going to get practice other than to practice? You know what I mean? So anyway, I added gray in for the shadows. And one of the things that my art teacher taught me back when I was in college was that you should not use blacks and should not use grays. But this character, like, with how the lighting was and how the picture was that I was looking at, it just needed the grays and blacks to make it pop more, when normally I would choose other colors to try to make it work. But I had to figure out how to incorporate this gray into the shadows on his face, even though when you look at a person in real life, they're not going to have gray in the shadows of their face. Like, it's going to be like a deep pink or a deep, like a deep skin tone color. But I didn't feel like Buggy was like that because he has white makeup on. So it's going to be that kind of messy, powdery, kind of slimy, I don't know, like that wet FX makeup, that they put on actors and stuff. And that's what I was trying to go for with the grays in the shadows instead of a more neutral skin tone shadow. Then I had to add in the blue part, which I kind of halfway forgot about, and then I was like, oh shoot, okay, but that's okay. We can make it work. In total, this painting took me about, I don't know, I would say like 6 to 8 hours, which I know is really slow. Like, this is a small canvas. It's a 12 by 12 inch canvas. So I know that most people who are experienced in painting, I'm sure, would be able to like speed through that a lot faster. But for me, I was learning as I was going, trying to figure out how to use my paints and figure out how they looked layered. So it's a process that took me a lot longer than your average person who knows how to use their paints. But the more I use them, the more I will get this figured out. I think that's the hardest part for me, is being able to apply the values, like making things look how they're supposed to, making things have shadows, having darks and lights. That's what's really hard for me with paint. I don't know why. I guess it's because I know how to do like graphite, making things darker or lighter. But I have a lot more trouble with the paints, because graphite, it's just you push the pencil down harder or you make it a thicker layer of graphite. But paint, you're working with colors, so you have to know your colors and you have to know how to mix your colors to get the correct values, if that makes sense. But it just gives me a little bit more trouble, so it's definitely more of a learning curve for me. Now, let me tell you, his glove, because he's resting his hand on his face like a fist, his glove gave me so much trouble. I could not for the life of me get it right. I had to pause in the middle of it and be like, okay, I'm going to work on something else. Like, I'm going to work on his jacket because this glove, I still look at it and I'm like, ugh, this glove drove me so crazy. It ends up turning out okay, but like, it drove me crazy. Although I think my favorite part of this painting is actually his shoulder of his jacket that I just finished. Like, I really like the way that I was able to achieve the folds in that leather fabric, and then the stitching that kind of pops out. I really like the way that I was able to do that. The fur, I feel like I could still work on. Like, I could sit and work on that fur for hours and I would never feel like it's finished. So I just had to stop myself. I just had to decide to be done. Otherwise, I would just continue to overwork it and we would be here forever. And this is already going to be the longest video that I have on my channel, I think. Well, one of them. Like, I can't remember some of the stuff that I have up, but I know for sure this is one of the longer ones. I was actually nervous recording this on my phone because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough memory in my camera roll to keep this like going, because when I recorded my last painting that I did on my channel, it was my ghost in space painting. I missed a small chunk of the painting because I thought my phone was recording when it had shut off and it had died, and I made sure to start every time with like a charged phone whenever I started a new recording, because I did this over a couple days. So every single time I would start my phone recording, I would start it with it charged. And also I had to empty out my camera roll a lot to get this on there. So I don't know. I have a camera, but my camera is not like a video camera, it's just a really nice camera for photography. So it doesn't work that well for this. So I have to use my phone for my videos. And for some reason, when I speed this up as much as I had to make sure that it was short enough, it ends up looking choppy a little bit here and there. Like it looks almost like a stop motion video, which is not how I intended it to, but I have no other option for this because I didn't want this to be a, you know, several hour long video here on YouTube. But anyway, as you can see, it's coming along. I finally got that glove like a little bit better how I wanted it to be. And I ended up adding a little bit more pink to his face, a little bit more details. It's finished, you know, now. Not at this point in the video, but, you know, afterwards, now that I'm looking at it on my wall, I'm like, I could still probably sit and add more little touch-ups and more little details. Like, that's my problem, is sometimes I just don't know when to stop with art. And I remember being in college, and that was one of the things that my teacher told me, or told the class rather, is like, you have to know when to stop. Even if you feel like it's still not done, if you've already put several hours into it, you know, you have to know when to stop. You can't just continue and continue and continue. And so that's what I had to tell myself with this painting, because I was like, I have to stop. I will continue to add more and more. And then sometimes you get to the point where you've added so much that it's like too done. I don't know. So I didn't want to get to that point either. But I did want a black background. So I went in and blocked in all of the black. And I feel like it pops way more with a black background. He really stands out against it. And it fits Buggy a little bit better than a white background does. So we're nearing the end of the video, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching. And comment below, if you're still watching at this point, comment below what your favorite character was from the One Piece live action, if you watched it. If you didn't watch the One Piece live action, what is your favorite character from the One Piece anime? Mine stands as Buggy. I have been watching the One Piece anime a little bit now since I watched the live action because my husband has just been begging me to. And Buggy still stands as my favorite so far. So we shall see. Anyway, I hope you guys all have a great week. I hope you had a wonderful holiday season, and I will see you in my next video. Stick to the end to see the painting finished, and have a good week. Goodbye, everybody.